Hello everybody, and welcome to Lawrie's Mechanical Marvels. Now, before we look at today's vehicle, if I can ask all you guys just to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, tell me what you think of today's vehicle, and share this vehicle with your friends, people who might appreciate this kind of thing. And that will help us grow and look at kind of other cool cars and things. Today, we're looking at one of my favourite cars ever to come out of Japan, after the MR2 of course. And I think that it's one of the most underappreciated cars of the 80s. Today, we're looking at the Datsun 280zx. Ready? And isn't it absolutely gorgeous? The lines on this car are just phenomenally pretty. And I am just blown away with how good it looks. And also, it's a T-top, which just gives it so many more bonus points for being amazingly cool. So this car is the evolution of the Datsun range. They had the 240, the 260, the 280Z, and then it moved on to the 280zx. And it was very different. The previous cars had all been very sporty numbers, and this isn't. This is certainly a Grand Tourer. Nowhere at all similar to the predecessors it had. And as a result, it didn't sell particularly well because people were expecting another sporty car. They weren't expecting the range to go in this direction. And it was sent off to America, but it didn't sell well there either because there's so much tech in this for a car from the 80s. It cost far more than it should have, and it was a similar price to kind of contemporary American cars, and the Americans didn't really want to buy things that weren't American, especially for the same money. It was a bit of a flop, and it really shouldn't have been because it's just awesome. I mean, it's such a pretty shape.
It has these sexy little air inlets on the bonnet. This one is a 1982 car, which was the penultimate year of production. It only lasted until 1983, and that was the end. And as far as we know, this one had a pretty normal and uneventful life. That is, of course, until it found itself inside a hedge.
Not like how my MR2 did, but just abandoned. Until my friend Nigel stumbled upon it and went, "Woo! What's that?" Long story short, he acquired it and brought it back to his workshop, where he discovered that it was exceptionally rotten. And he has rebuilt now many cars. And this one, by far, was the worst. This is now the result of 2 cars and an awful lot of welding and filler. It's had the suspension at the front and the chassis rebuilt. New metal's gone into all of that because it was gone. There were large holes here in the door, and this panel here just was a hole. Most of the floor has been redone. Long story short, it's a lot of work to get the car back to being this stage, and he has sworn never to take on a project this big again, because it was, and I quote, a pain in the fill the blanks. Oh. Turns out the gas struts don't actually work in the boot very well. I love cars like this that have these massive rear opening boots. I think they're cool. Very 80s thing. The boot is quite spacious. You can fit an awful lot of stuff in here. And this is the kind of part of the car which is the most kind of working project. There's little bits which aren't quite finished. And also some of the work that had to be done. This was all rotten. There was no wheel well anymore, that was just a hole, and a lot of work has had to go into the back end of this car to bring it back up to spec. And it is, as the owner says, it is a work in progress, and it's coming along and it's almost finished. Which brings us to the back, and the only thing I don't actually like about this car is I don't like the oversized rear lights. They just kind of feel out of place, like somebody just went, we'll slap them on, and that would do. Which is a shame, really, because apart from that, it's wonderful, especially with, I love the chrome, I like chrome, I really like chrome. I like the chrome little bits on it, it just makes it pop a bit more and makes it a bit more special. Because let's be honest, it is special. As this is a 2+2, we want to see how practical it is and are these rear seats actually usable. So I've got my friend Matt, who is a big Japanese car enthusiast, and this is one of his dream cars, to see, can you get in the back of this?
Well,
Let's...
oh yeah, okay. And then,
No.
yeah,
No.
yes. Oh yes, look at that.
As with most Japanese cars of the era, rear seat passengers are not really taken into consideration.
Hold on, I can move up. I can move up. I can.
You might not be able to tell on film, but my knees are here. My knees are higher than my torso at the moment, and that is the limit of the space.
I can just see the top of your knees. This is not designed for 4 adults. Oh, my leg's cramping. Leg's cramping.
However, when you do sit in the front, you do have a lovely amount of articulation on the seat, meaning you can basically just sleep in it.
It's really comfortable. That was not comfortable though.
Okay.
This is a really, really nice, cool place to be. And it's from that era of cars that I really, really like. The 80s were awesome. You have these 3 gorgeous gauges here, which is the clock, the battery voltage, and the oil temperature and pressure. The fuel temperature gauges, and this just lovely, simple dash. It's just cool. Lovely heater controls, a really, really, really retro tape player, which doesn't work. And everything else is just made of this kind of browny, reddy, leather and plasticky stuff. It comes together and it's a really, really pretty place. Steering wheel, I love the design of it. I love this missing part of it here. It's just really cool. And the sitting position, these seats, I mean, somewhat faded, but really comfortable. It's just a lovely place to be. I can't stress how nice it is to be here. They did a really, really good job when they designed this car. So under here, we have the reason for the really large bonnet, and that's this 2.8 litre straight 6 fuel injected engine, and it is a beaut. Sometimes you open a bonnet and you just go, wow. And this is one of those occasions, because it's a pretty engine. Now, the original engines for the 280Z and 280ZX were carburetors. But as the production moved into the later years, they swapped to fuel injection, which is what this is, and it makes quite a difference to the way the thing performs. It is a good engine. This provides power in a very smooth way. It's a very nice acceleration, a very nice way of putting down power. But this particular unit wasn't always so nice. When the owner had put it back together again and was driving it around, it was firing on 5 cylinders, not 6. And he fiddled with it and was getting more and more annoyed with it, and was rapidly approaching the point where he thought, I'm going to have to take the head off. However, he had a journey to do that was about a 100-mile round trip and didn't have any other vehicles available. So he thought, oh, I'll have to take this. Now, in about half hour into his trip, suddenly it started to run a lot happier. And ever since then, it's been firing on all 6 cylinders. So we think that it probably had a piston ring or something that wasn't seated properly. And now it's drowned itself and it's fine. Which is a lot better than what he was thinking, like a stuck valve or something. And because it's been put in this way around, it means that there's so much more room to actually be able to get to everything. It's not like these modern cars where everything's jammed into a small space with the engines turned 90 degrees. No, everything's accessible. I can get my arms like right down. I can almost touch the floor. Which means that working on one of these, I mean, apart from the fact that the bonnet's in the way of anything over here, but generally speaking, you can work on this so much easier than a modern car. And of course it doesn't have all the tap that a modern car has. It's just a pretty little car with a pretty little engine in a pretty little engine bay. And it sounds wonderful. Today we're doing something slightly different. It's a 2-person review. So I've got Matt in here, who's going to be kind of enthusing with me, because Matt loves this car. This is one of Matt's all-time great dream cars.
They are absolutely stunning.
It's just amazingly nice. It is just... So immediately the first thing I've noticed is the steering wheel is crooked, and it is really annoying me. Really, it's at 45 degrees wrong.
That is supposed to be fixed at some point in the near future, though.
Yeah, the owner does know that it's a fault and has agreed that it must be sorted. Apart from that, the ride, it's super soft suspension. It's not wallowy.
No, it's fairly tight. You get in like an old American car and it feels like a boat. You're like sailing through each corner. It's stiff, but it's not.
It's really comfortable.
Yes.
You feel the road, and it's a very comfortable bed.
And the seats are like being in armchairs.
They are super, super comfortable. In both material and feel, they are armchairs.
These are vastly superior to leather. I don't care what anyone says. We've got tasteful use of leather everywhere else in here, but chairs, proper.
Is it real leather? That's plasto leather.
On these doors it might be.
Well, that might be, yeah.
This was a premium cut.
It was indeed. So other little things I really like in this are, I've got 3 switches down on the door card, which are my window down, Matt's window down, and automatic return for my window. So I just touch it once and it automatically goes up. This was full of the tech when it was new.
It even greets you when you get into the car, like any good Japanese car.
It's fantastic. When you turn it on, it does a system check and comes up with a little okay.
Just to let you know that it's all working fine.
Which, being from the 80s, it must just be a constant headache of things going wrong. But apparently, it's mostly all right.
Yeah, so as far as I'm aware, they are fairly reliable cars. Of course, any Japanese car of this era, it's going to rust. That's just what you have to deal with, and I think that's been the majority of the battle with this vehicle.
It's what the owner has been saying. Yeah, it was made up of 2 cars.
One reasonable shout and another terrible shout, kind of bodged together into one okay shout.
To be fair, he's walked around and pointed out during the course of making this video a load of the imperfections with it, but you wouldn't actually notice them until they've been pointed out to you. He's done a remarkably good job with this, and you wouldn't know that it's had donor parts from another vehicle, like heavy use of donor parts.
There's also a couple of issues with the paintwork where essentially it's been sprayed by the owner, and he's done a really good job, but their paint gun started packing up halfway through, and there's little imperfections that's hopefully all going to be sorted out soon too.
Yeah, he's not happy with the finish, but again, unless you were really looking, you wouldn't notice.
Exactly.
I think, to be fair, you'll be more excited with the car. You wouldn't really notice it because you're so excited with what it is.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't go.
That's a little bit mucky.
So there we go. The indicator's a little bit stiff to if it actually wants to.
It wants a firm press.
It does. And the column here shows signs of age, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I think that's just tired plastic. It just needs to be renewed.
Yeah, but again, it's one of the problems with this, because they weren't popular, but the getting bits and spare bits for it is remarkably difficult. So we talked about there's seals along here are starting to go, and the owner was like, I just don't think I can get the new seals for it.
Yeah, well, T-top seals are even rare on cars like MR2, which they made thousands of.
That's
lower production vehicles, you're just not going to find replacement bits quite as easy. No. And even if you do find them, they're likely to be just as wrong.
Yeah, that's very true. There won't be any new ones left.
Yeah.
Big things about this is it's lacking a wing mirror on Matt's side. I've got a tiny, tiny wing mirror on my side, which gives...
And it's not adjustable from inside the car?
No, you need to wind the window down to get to it, which is strange on a car that's got electric mirrors and all these
Which is this
systems.
premium, yeah.
You'd kind of expect there to be a control somewhere. I mean, there might be one, we just haven't found it, but...
Pushing it seems to work fine.
Pushing is a very effective way of doing it. It's just... The power delivery, the throttle response on this is just... It's delightful. The gearbox is also really nice, but just the way it puts down power is just so good. I mean, we have a clear bit of road here, so we'll just slow down, drop it, and now...
Well, you get that lovely smooth 6-cylinder power. It doesn't care that it's going like this.
Oh, it's just so good, isn't it? It's amazingly good. It's just... This really is the definition of a grand tourer car. It's something that it's amazingly comfortable. It goes beautifully. It's the driving, the feel through the steering wheel, and the way that it steers and the way that it drives. It's delightful.
And even when it's up going at speed, you're just sat there just like, no, just completely happy, completely safe.
Yeah, for an old car, or an older car, it's 39 now, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
39, 38, something like that. And it's just, it doesn't feel like an older vehicle. It just gives a massive sense of power, purpose. You feel good in it. You feel really good in it. And just bumbling down these back roads in Suffolk in it, it's just like, I would want to drive to the end of the world in this car.
Yeah, it's what it was built to do, was just to like cruise in lovely sunny days like this.
I mean, especially when you take the T-tops out, it's...
Yeah. Unfortunately, not great audio.
Yeah, so we have the roof back in now just to try and make the audio a bit more usable. But it is just... Oh... If you like driving cars and you like tourers and you like vintage vehicles, you've got to find yourself one of these because it is just amazing.
The two-seater ones are actually quite a lot of money if you're looking to invest in one, but these 2+2s, they just cost nothing. I mean, one in good condition you can pick up for about £4,000. That's nothing for a car like this.
No, it's really, this is worth far more than... Normally I drive cars and I hear the market value and I go, that is not worth that at all. But this, Jesus, yeah, this is good value for money. I'd have one of these. Like, this is a car. You only have one car, and you want something special. This is it.
Yeah.
I can't really think of a situation where this wouldn't work. And you'd choose something else over this. Okay, 4x4 because you got
towing a tractor, maybe if you've bought another one. Need a tow car. I bet you this would tow.
I bet it would tow.
It's a 6-cylinder. I bet you it's got enough torque to just like choke through anything.
I bet it would.
Open it all down here. Full chat.
Oh, it's so good. And we want to take this on track or something and see what it would do.
I wouldn't want to see this on track.
I want to do something with it where I can actually see how fast it goes. Because obviously that was up to 60. And now that's it. But there's so much more go in that.
Yeah.
The way that engine's going, it doesn't sound anywhere near like it's reaching its limits. It's sat there going, yeah, I can do more than that. Yeah, cool, that's easy. Give me a bit more.
Well, these engines actually get very frequently swapped into 240z's because they are obviously a much later model and actually fuel injected as opposed to carbureted.
Yeah, which makes a big difference. Right. Oh, it's so good! I cannot stress how exciting that noise is and how much fun it is. The brakes, by the way, also pretty good. It slows down remarkably nicely, it doesn't pull.
Yeah, I think the owner has actually swapped it to discs all around.
Yes, he has.
Drum brakes.
Which has made a massive difference, I imagine, over what he had originally. Visibility out the front is actually pretty decent. I've got this lovely rise from the centre part of the bonnet where it's got that high point, which just makes you feel a bit more special, and it kind of reminds you of what you're driving. The fact there is a nice big straight 6 just in front of you. It's gorgeous. I love it when you can see a bit of the engine bulge from the driver's position. There is a bit of noise coming from the back end. There's a suspension bit or something that clonks. What did we think it was?
I thought it was the gearbox, they said. So basically, when you're on overrun, there's a little bit of play in a shaft somewhere, and you just get a little bit of clonk when you go from overrun to being back on power. But it's such a minor little doop, and they've had a look at it. They can't find where it was, and it's running fine. So it's safely ignored for now.
Just gently on the clutch. You found the clutch a bit harsh, didn't you? I find it fine.
Yeah. So for me, the clutch very much feels like an on or off switch, but I haven't driven quite as many vintage vehicles as Lawrie, so
I like vintage vehicles.
That might just be my interpretation of it.
The clutch is fine. I actually quite like the clutch. I like the feel of it. I like the pressure of it.
And going back to the little clonk from the gearbox, it's an older car. You kind of expect there's not as much sound deadening in. Nobody really expects older cars to be quiet.
There's no sound deadening in the back because it's still bare metal in it.
No, because it's fallen out. It's been welded.
Yes, precisely. So we expect a bit of noise from there. There's a bit of noise around the T-tops where they're not quite perfectly sealed. But I can't stress how nice and comfortable this car is. It is just magnificently comfortable. And the noise, it's such a nice noise. I mean, straight 6s normally are quite pleasant, aren't they? But yeah. It's really livable with and quiet doing something like this.
It's nice how you hear so much engine as well and not just exhaust.
Yeah.
On a lot of powerful cars, all you really hear is the exhaust going off, but this, you just actually hear that engine working and whirring away at the front. It's just so gorgeous.
It's really nice. And again, just cruising around here, it's very quiet. It's not showy. It's nice, isn't it? It doesn't draw too much attention to itself.
I was going to say, you say it's not showy, but I see most people's heads turn.
Yes, that's because it's beautiful, but it's not because of the engine noise. They're not hearing this thing going. Rrrm.
No, they're seeing an actual, like,
A beautiful JDM car.
Yeah, gorgeous piece of history.
It is a gorgeous piece of history, and it's really, I kind of touched on it earlier, but it is really tragic that this didn't sell well, because it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely, apart from that noise, which is just wear and tear, and the steering wheel not being straight, I actually can't find anything I don't like about this car.
Rear lights.
Oh yeah, I do.
Which is actually one of the big reasons why I love the 240Z before this, and that 260, 280Z, that whole family there. Because it actually had slightly nicer rear lights. It just kind of ties up the rear end a little bit more.
I did not like the rear end, but like.
No, the rear end is lovely. It's just the lights. I think part of the reason was I believe they were mandated to be of a certain size and of a certain quality. And it was at that era where car designers hadn't really got used to the regulations, and so we're kind of like, well, we'll just stick it on there and just hope it looks okay.
And it didn't in this case.
Which is a bit of a shame, but I bet you it's not too hard to convert earlier Z lights onto it.
Yeah, I suppose you could, but then you're on to that thing of originality and blah blah blah.
It's a £4,000 car.
True. I can't get over the fact that it doesn't cost that much.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I'm in love. I mean, I fall in love with most things that I drive. Would Lawrie have one of these? Yes, of course Lawrie would have one of these. I mean, you could tell that from the immediate start of it. These are just super. And it just, coming into it now, coming from 30 into de-restricted and 4th gear, and it just pulls. A little bit of a clatter from the, it's not fast. It's fast enough, and it's my kind of speed. I don't enjoy uber fast rocket cars. That doesn't do anything for me. But this, it's powerful enough. It gives you the fizz. There's enough power there. It's not fast, but it's just great.
I think it's just that the power is accompanied by that lovely noise. I think that's probably what sets it apart.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It is beautiful. And the gearbox is so nice as well, isn't it? It's not short throw or anything, but it feels nice moving it. You've got a real sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And it's short, it's sharp, it's nice. It's a really nice gearbox. I want to drive it. It is. I want a wing mirror there. The fact that I'm missing a wing mirror annoys me intently. So I keep looking over to see what's that side, and there's nothing. But you could do everything in this. You can shop in it. You can take the family. You can take your mum to the doctors. It holds a decent amount of shopping.
Apparently it's not too bad on petrol as well, which I was actually very surprised by.
Yes, he said for a 100-mile trip, he filled the tank and it used...
About a quarter, he said?
Yeah, about a quarter, which...
I don't know how big the tank is.
We don't know how big the tank is. Oh god, that's above.
That was a level crossing. Don't count that against the suspension.
No, this is almost one of those cars that comes from when there was the joy of driving and people drove for pleasure. People don't seem to do it anymore. It's just a car that you love to drive. You want to go places in it. You want to get lost in the middle of Suffolk or wherever we are now. We might have crossed the border. We might be in Essex. Might be in Norfolk. I've got no idea. It's just so pleasant. This is the joy of driving. Who had that as their slogan? I'm sure somebody used the joy.
It was a car company, yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But they should have used this car. This is... What was the term you used earlier for this?
It's a forever car. It's a car you could literally just have and just be like, yeah, it's the only car I need. It will do me forever. It's fairly practical. There's a decent amount of space in the boot.
Yeah.
And the rear seats do fold flat. I wouldn't want to sit in the rear seats for any extended period of time, as we've said.
I mean, you did fit. Kind of.
I don't think your seat was actually locked in a position where it was safe.
Ah. So what we're saying is you don't fit in the back.
No. Like, small children may just about fit in.
Yeah, it's a 2+2, isn't it, rather than a 4-seater?
Definitely.
Is
That's what it was sold as.
Is there more room, though, in the back than there is in the back of the Lotus?
I'd say there's more headroom in this and more room for your actual torso, but less leg room.
Okay.
The Lotus, you don't have to quite sit with your knees up into your chest.
It is a weird position to be in the back of the Lotus.
Yeah. But any 2+2 is like that. Our friend Trev's Celica GT4, even that's the same. It's just how it is with all of these cars.
Well, I suppose the JM's Porsche, what was it, 911, it was a Carrera C4, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. That again, that was a 2+2 and with totally practical rear seats.
Yeah. And at that point, you need to turn around and ask kids, do I need rear seats? If you're going to give me useless rear seats, I'd rather just have a little bit more boot space.
I suppose it is just to market it as a family car, isn't it? You can take little Jimmy in the back because he doesn't have big legs.
Family car.
I personally think that's just luggage space that's wasted, but
Yes.
they do fold pretty flat, those back seats. So I want to take this on holiday. I want to drive somewhere in this.
Well, I've been going pretty much all day now, and I'm very tired. And one of the nice things about this car is I can basically just.
Matt,
sleep
where
in
you
it.
gone? Oh, you're there.
I mean, the view down here out of these T-tops is actually quite nice as well. I've got this lovely panoramic view around me. I'm afraid in a crash I might just shoot out of the seatbelt and slide forwards.
I will try very hard not to crash.
But this is insanely comfy, and I might just do the rest of the review like this.
Sit up, you lazy child.
I don't know, it is.
They
Got
are.
so much leg room as well. I can stretch out my entire leg and get my tiptoes pointed out. It's.
How tall are you? You're 6 something, right?
I'm 6 foot bang on.
So, and you've got enough leg room.
I can sleep in this. I could sleep in this and be comfortable.
I don't know of any car that I've been in recently that is this comfortable. I want one of these. Would you have one of these over an MR2?
Yes,
Oh,
because it stands out.
oh, you don't.
An MR2 is a lot more of a. You can go a lot quicker in an MR2. It's a lot more performance oriented at the end of the day. But this is just so good at just everything else.
I'm so happy in this car. Because I think that's part of cars like this. It's not about how fast it goes or 0 to 60 time or anything like that. It's about the experience of being in it.
0 to 60, 9.1 seconds, just if you were curious.
Which isn't rapid.
No, but it's not slow.
Well, I think
If you're under 10 seconds, you're out of like boring family car nonsense and into, okay, you can have a little bit of fun with that.
this is certainly a long way away from boring family car.
Yes.
This is stunningly pretty to drive through. I want to take this around Europe.
Yeah.
I want to drive this around the world.
Get it clean first.
Well, maybe when we come back afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's the end of this episode of Lawrie's Mechanical Marvels. We hope you've enjoyed this featured vehicle. And yeah, hope to see you for the next one. Again, give us a like, subscribe if you haven't. And please leave a comment. Do you love this car as much as me and Matt? Let us know.
What are we going to do now?
I'm just going to drive.
Suits me.